Hello and welcome to SNI. I'm Ashwin Ahmad and I'm in conversation with my colleague Parul Chandra. Today we're going to be talking about the Kartarpur Corridor scheduled to open on November 9th and the ramifications for India-Pakistan relations. Parul, let's turn to you. Now the first big question, what exactly is going to happen on November 9th?
On November 9th, two inaugurals are scheduled, one on the Indian side and the other on the Pakistani side. I think had bilateral relations been on an even keel, they might have considered a joint inaugural, but given the current bitter state of ties, there was no question of it. So, India will have its inauguration at Dera Baba Nanak, which is close to the international border, and Prime Minister Modi is expected to be there for the inaugural. And then you have about 550 Indian pilgrims who are expected to be traveling to the Pakistani side. And on the Pakistani side, Prime Minister Imran Khan is supposed to be present at the inaugural function. Also, these 550 pilgrims who will be going from India will be present on the Pakistani side when they are having their function. We've been told that Pakistan requested their presence and India has agreed to that.
Now, let's come to the political ramifications of this. What was Prime Minister Imran Khan looking at from the Kartarpur Corridor project? I mean, he's talked about visa-free access. He's gone all out basically to, facilitate the entry of these pilgrims from India to Pakistan. How do you see it as working for him politically?
Well, on the international stage, I think he's trying to promote a softer image for himself and his country. Pakistan has been in the news for the persecution of its minorities. The Hindu community, for instance, the Christians, they have faced blasphemy laws in Pakistan. There was the famous case of Asia Bibi, who was sentenced to death. So basically, on the international stage, they will be trying to project this image of being a country which is kind of accepting of its minorities. So that really would be the aim. As far as I think India-Pakistan ties are concerned, I don't think that they're really going to be really move on a positive trajectory.
But Pakistan would want to present a more moderate image, especially after being on the FATF, and the world will look to Imran to normalize things, especially after those statements he made on you. And do you think that can help him in any way, the project, to show that, he's reaching out to pilgrims that are coming from India?
I don't think it's really going to help him much.
Okay.
And also because the perception, at least on the Indian side, is that it is a project that is being backed, pushed and promoted by the Pakistani army.
Right.
Though, of course, there have been attempts by the Imran Khan government and Imran Khan himself to convey this message that he is the man behind this project. But it's really the Pakistani army which is pushing for this project, which again is a cause for worry for India.
How so?
We all know who is the power behind the throne in Pakistan.
Absolutely.
Right? The army. And India also feels that this particular project or the speedy manner in which it has been executed by Pakistan is not merely driven by altruistic motives or just to allow Sikh pilgrims or other pilgrims to go to Kartarpur Sahib. Mm-hmm. India believes that it is a very strategic move on the part of Pakistan and fears that Pakistan might just use it to stoke Khalistani sentiments,
right,
and also to back Khalistani elements.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we've seen over this past year or so We've seen the Sikhs for Justice, a pro-separatist Sikh body, join hands with Pakistani separatists in protests in London and various other parts of the world. So India will definitely be worried about Khalistani elements coming in. There's been posters of Bhindranwale, I believe, across the corridor. So, what kind of measures and what will be the Indian government looking out?
Well, you mentioned Bhindranwale, and now Pakistan has just come out with a song celebrating the opening of Kartarpur Corridor.
Right.
But in this song, they have used the images of Bhindranwale, a known Khalistani separatist leader, as well as that of Major General Chabeg Singh, who was, along with Bhindranwale, killed in Operation Blue Star in 1984, and a third separatist leader. So that has caused concern for India, and India has already conveyed this to Islamabad that we are not happy about it. And Islamabad in turn has told India that yes, assured India that we will not promote Khalistani elements. But the beginning doesn't seem to be very good, given that they have used the images of these people in their video. And as far as Sikhs for Justice is concerned, I'm glad you mentioned that. Now it is an organization that has been banned by India.
Yes.
India calls it a terrorist organization. It's largely the leader of this organization is based in the US. They have launched a campaign called Referendum 2020.
Right.
And they want to enroll Sikhs and then hold a referendum to ask them whether they want to remain a part of India or be part of this Khalistan state, which they've been seeking. And this again is a matter of concern for India. There have been reports that they might even enroll Sikh pilgrims while they are in Pakistan for the referendum. So that remains a matter of concern, and India has had reports in the past that the ISI has been backing Sikhs for Justice. Well, we have no clear proof of this. That's what India believes.
Right.
Pakistan may have something else to say.
The two things that we really need to keep in mind is the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak. So Sikh sentiments will be at a high. Our Union Minister Harsimrat Kaur Badal has talked about it being a corridor of hope, and that we can put the bitterness of partition behind us. We obviously can't expect normalization of relations, but does this give some kind of maybe a CBM or a people to people contact?
For sure it does. For now, India, while being wary, also believes that it is a very positive move. The demand for the Kartarpur Sahib corridor had been there for nearly 2 decades.
Yes.
It was also raised during Prime Minister Vajpayee's famous Lahore Bus Yatra.
Absolutely, yeah.
You see, Akali Dal leader Prakash Singh Badal had gone on this particular yatra to Lahore, and it had been raised with the Pakistani authorities. So it's been a long-standing demand, and significantly, India and Pakistan, despite the bitterness in ties, have been able to move ahead on this corridor in the last 1 year. The foundation stone was laid in November last year, and Pulwama has happened since then. It happened in February this year.
Yes.
And then you've had the abrogation of Article 370, on which Pakistani rhetoric has been extremely sharp. And India and Pakistan have been exchanging sharp words on this on the international stage as well. So despite these two very, very divisive events happening, we have been able to still continue with Kartarpur. You mentioned Harsimrat Badal. Well, she is one of the members of this 550-member delegation that will be going on November 9th.
Right.
Other than that, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh will also be a part of this delegation. And as far as we know, there are members of parliament, prominent Indians, citizens here, some members of the Punjab government cabinet members, They're going to be part of this trip. So, as you rightly said, people to people contact is an important element, and let's see where this leads us.
And what about cricketer turned politician, Navjot Sidhu?
Well, Sidhu himself is keen to go. He's written twice to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar seeking permission, political clearance to travel to Kartarpur Sahib. But he hasn't got it yet. But sources in the External Affairs Ministry tell us that at least on the first day of travel, that is November 9th, and that's when Sidhu wants to go to Kartarpur Sahib, no political clearance is required because they are going anyway as part of the delegation. But we're not very sure. In fact, I think the government is being a little quiet about it, whether then Sidhu is a part of the official delegation, because the list of names, the 550 names, has not been made public yet. It's still with Islamabad. New Delhi is waiting for Islamabad to get back to India on whether it is okay with the list. So, as far as Sidhu is concerned, $1 million question, whether he will finally go to Kartarpur or not. To me, it seems unlikely, at least on the first day, November 9th.
While this is no doubt a positive move, we've been down this road before, the Lahore bus yatra, etc. But India has legitimate security concerns. How do you think the government is going to address this?
For sure, the government has security concerns, huge security concerns. In fact, as I told you earlier, the stoking of Khalistani elements remains a matter of concern for India. So, India on this front is going to keep a very close eye on the pilgrims who travel to Pakistan and then back. It's basically a day trip because it's just a distance of about 4.5 kilometers from the Indian side to the Pakistani side to Kartarpur Sahib. But the security agencies, we are told, are well prepared for this and will be keeping an eye on any attempts to, say, radicalize Sikh pilgrims.
I believe there's an online database as well of the pilgrims that would be going.
Pilgrims have been asked to register online.
Yeah.
So, in fact, on November 9th is the first batch, which is more or less an official delegation.
Right.
But after that, anybody who wishes to travel to Kartarpur Sahib can just register online. And I think the security agencies will be doing some kind of checks on the people who want to travel. Of course, it is visa-free travel.
Okay.
But till now, Pakistan has said that Sikh pilgrims from India do not require passports. But they've not made it clear whether non-Sikh pilgrims require passports or not. So this remains something that India is awaiting clarification on. They've said that they don't know yet.
Obviously, sentiments from both the Indian and Pakistani side will be very high, and even across the world. Do you foresee some ray of hope going forward? Do you see some kind of thaw maybe in India-Pakistan relations?
I think it's unlikely. Given the current state of tensions between the two sides and the fact that there has been extremely sharp rhetoric by Pakistan after the abrogation of Article 370, and the tensions are continuing, and it seems unlikely that this corridor will lead to any kind of a thaw in relations. At the same time, India also maintains that it is a positive move, it's a good move, and it should be seen in that light. But really, in terms of any resumption of talks, because of the inauguration of this corridor, seems like a no-no to me. If they really wanted something, any kind of contact between their leaders, they would have probably had a joint inauguration of the corridor, which is not happening. And also, you see, Indian government officials are quick to remind us that their foreign minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi in the past has said that, oh, we've thrown a googly at India. He said this when India was compelled to send 2 ministers last year when the foundation stone for the corridor was laid. And then you've also had statements like, it's a good chess move by Pakistan. So that kind of muddies the waters and really doesn't make for good atmospherics between the two sides.
Well, no doubt, as you said, Parul, sentiments will be high. There will be a feel good factor. But yes, India Pakistan relations will not be normalizing anytime soon. But again, as we all know, no one can say anything about India Pakistan relations. Anything can happen. So we'll just have to wait and see.